Thank you. So I'm sort of moving up the time scale to subseasonal time scales. And I want to especially acknowledge the work of Chang and Shan, who are here, sitting in the back, and the other collaborators that. So it's in work. I'm trying. So for the subseasonal time scale, it's kind of a challenge because we are really, I think all of us are familiar with sort of the short time scale when we have initial conditions basically give rise to the predictability. But that, because of chaos, that influence of the initial condition actually drops pretty rapidly, and we can predict cyclones and stuff out to maybe 10 days to 2 weeks. For longer time scale, like climate time scale, which we've actually been doing quite a bit on, the boundary conditions like sea surface temperature, radiation, and land surface conditions actually give rise to the predictable signal. And for the subseasonal time scale, it's challenging because the influence of both of them are actually decreasing quite rapidly. The boundary conditions have influence, but because we are looking at 1 to 2 weeks type of averaging, so the noise is very, very high, and so the signal to noise ratio becomes very, very small. And the other challenge is that there's not a lot of observational samples. If you think about, for example, the winter, one season, you may have maybe 10 different episodes of subseasonal type of things going on, and then we only have 30 to 40 seasons of good observation. And so the strategy is actually to leverage sources of subseasonal predictability, low frequency variability. I think most of you are familiar with ENSO and MJO, and probably polar vortex and QBO, and then also large scale circulation like the NAO and PNA and blocking. Nevertheless, actually, subseasonal scale in prediction is still pretty low, especially for precipitation, which is a pretty noisy field. And so here I'll show a couple of research projects that we are engaged in that are supported by NOAA and NSF. So the first is the development of a hybrid statistical dynamical model to predict weeks 3 to 4 US precipitation. And this is actually create a new model for CDC to use. So the strategy for prediction for statistical model is that you use the past observed ENSO and MJO and to condition and then derive either a statistical model using linear regression or machine learning to predict week 3 to 4 precipitation. The traditional approach usually use trained with observation, basically cross-validation. The challenge is that we only have maybe 30 to 40 years of observations, and so the number of samples is small. And so usually linear methods are used. Our approach is actually trained with large ensemble climate model data. We use CSM2 large ensemble. And because of the large amount of data, we have thousands of years of data for the training. And so we can use machine learning methods. Right now, we've basically just tested various rather simple machine learning methods. And note that the training of these models, our models actually don't use observation or dynamical model prediction model data. It's completely independent of the results. So on the left, on the right, you see the comparison. This is the traditional approach. The colored regions have skilled better than climatology. This is economic correlation. And you can see that there are only small regions where we have skill. But if we use the CSM2, but use the same method, we actually increase the scale by significantly. And then if we actually use just simple machine learning, we actually further improve the scale. And these results have been published in a GIL paper. After that, we actually expanded to a hybrid model. So instead of just using past observed MJO and ANSO prediction condition, we actually add the MJO predicted by the dynamical models. But the training is still completely based on CSM2 model data. You basically use the future state in CSM2 to predict, to derive the model linking these parameters to weak breathable precipitation. And what this is, the evaluation is based on 20 years of ECMWF reforecast. We have also done the comparison with GAPS, which is the NOAA model, and the results are very similar. So what we show is that this is the traditional method, the observation-based MLR, just use the past information, which is the traditional approach, and the CPC is using right now. Our hybrid model scale is much better. And even compared with the dynamical model prediction, we actually beat the ECMWF prediction in the late fall, early winter season. And even in the other seasons, we actually are not too much worse. And even in those seasons, there are regions where we still beat them. So this model is actually being transitioned to CPC for operational testing, and we're writing out the paper to describe this right now. So we're not just interested in predicting, we also are interested in understanding drivers of these seasonal variabilities, basically the sources of predictability. So what we do is we basically just look for lag relationships between storm tracks and potential drivers using various methods. And we perform dynamical diagnostics and also hierarchy of model experiments to understand underlying mechanisms. So I don't have time to show you the details. I'll just show you a couple of results. This, again, work done by Chang, which actually shows how the MJO, the heating associated with MJO, excite Rossby wave that propagates and evolve over the mid-latitudes and into the North American region and affect the storm track and the precipitation over that region. And currently, I think the heating associated with ANSO and MJO are well known. We are now actually examining impacts of other modes of population variabilities using similar methods. Another example is work done by Shanher, postdoc here, and used causal discovery to find that the storm track modulates the storm track over central US 1 week later. And based on the dynamical diagnostics, what he showed is that the storm track over the Pacific excites the Rossby wave train, which actually strengthens the ridge over the west coast of North America 1 week later. And this easterly associated with this ridge reduced the volcanicity over this region, and that reduces the generation of volcanic waves or synoptic scale waves over this region, and reducing the downstream storm track. So these are I just show you this couple of examples to highlight the areas that we've been moving into. So I think the challenge, there are challenges. The skills are still pretty low, but the opportunity is that this is a relatively new area. And as you see, even using relatively simple methods with large amount of data and new methods, we can actually get results that actually improve on previous work. So because it's a relatively new area, there are a lot of opportunity to improve on the predictions in this and the understanding in this time scale. So. Question.
I'll just throw out something. The CESM, it's impressive that it's working fairly well. If you used it among ensemble models or another model, would it change much, or is it?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's something that we are planning to test. And we haven't done that yet. We haven't had the time to do that yet. So
the CESM does not simulate the MJO very well. Will that impact the results?
I think CSM2 actually does a reasonable job of simulating the MJO, and that's why actually we use the CSM2 large ensemble. Yeah, I think it does have sort of some deficiency, like low top model, so it doesn't simulate things like this stratospheric polar vortex very well. So if we want to use the polar vortex, then we probably should use another model.
So there is further potential to make this.
Yeah, so there are a lot of potential for, because we are using very simple methods. We are only using a few predictors, and yeah, we've been testing other things and we've got some exciting results, but we are still writing those up. So
Edmund, there's a new book out by Jagadish Shukla, who grew up in India, and his lifelong passion is trying to observe the causes of the monsoons over India. So I'm halfway through the book, it's just come out, but I'm very interested in this scale that has driven his passion all those years. Moving to the right.
Well, moving to the right, I think we've been doing the things to the right for quite long.
Yeah.
It's in the middle that is relatively new. So this bridging this sort of gap, because the climate, I think the interesting thing is that we've been doing climate and weather separately. Now this middle range is kind of emerged between weather and climate. So we are kind of using, right now, I think we're still trying to use sort of merge the tools that we use for weather prediction and climate prediction together, and potentially some new tools can be developed for this particular time scale. So the question is, obviously a lot of the weather services are kind of emphasizing a sort of one smooth transition, which hasn't happened yet. So,
Great, thank you, Edmund.